Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Coffee Break. This is Stephen, Editorial Director of PR Week. I'm delighted to be with Stacey Tank, who is talking to us on her day at Home Depot. She's going for an exciting new adventure in Europe, going back to Heineken. Stacey, welcome. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's great to be with you. Great to see you looking so well during these crazy times.
Well, I'm not sure I feel that good, but yeah, I can put a good PR, good front on it. But about this new adventure, so it's your last, as we record this is your last day at Home Depot. You've had a brilliant run there and made that transition from communications into the C-suite. And we've told that story. It's a great story to tell. Now you're heading off to a new role in Amsterdam for Heineken, where you used to work as heading up global corporate affairs and transformation. First of all, tell us about the feelings about leaving Home Depot and what it was that attracted you to this new role back at Heineken.
Sure, yeah. It's an emotional day. It's been an emotional few weeks because the businesses that I'm looking after now, they were in a turnaround journey, and turnarounds are hard. We've been in the trenches together. And so the people that I work with now, not only our kind of corporate executive team, but the field folks in particular, I've just developed such close relationships with them, and I'll miss them so much. And it took literally every single employee to put their fingerprints on this turnaround to make it work. And so it's an experience, these years I'll never, ever forget. They pushed me, they made me a better leader. Running the businesses was the greatest professional thrill of my career. And I will miss everyone so very much, especially in the context of COVID right now. It's interesting, in a high pressure situation, you see people's true colors shine through. And Home Depot has the very best colors shining through. And it just, it makes it even more bittersweet to leave them in this moment.
Yeah, you're running the installation and measurement services business, have been for 2 years. And it was great to see a communications professional take on a C-suite role like that. So having done that and ascended like that, what was the driver towards being attracted to the role at Heineken, which is a communications role, but I'm guessing there are some you're on the C-suite there. So are there some elements to that role that are in excess of communications that are in the business transformation area?
Exactly. Yes, it's an expanded role on the executive team working for the new global CEO, Dolph Vandenbrink. And it's a unique moment to be able to join Heineken. It's a 156-year-old company. It's an amazing company with amazing history. And the former CEO, Jean-Francois Van Boxmeer, has been there 15 years. So with Dolph taking his new role, he starts on Monday. I start on Monday. He's assembled this new management team, and together we're going to transform the company and write this next growth chapter. And that's what I'm really excited about, to be able to join the management team in this moment. I've worked with Dolph before, and he is a truly gifted leader. And the name of the game is growth, sustainable development, transformation. And I see it very much as a business role. I'll run businesses again. In this moment, I'm excited to focus on transformation and the wonderful corporate affairs team, many of whom I know from prior days, who are extraordinary leaders. And I know that Heineken has always been pushing the boundaries of innovation, with their hearts so very much in the right place on corporate and social responsibility. I'm just full of optimism and excitement about what's to come. I know things will emerge that will help a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing is, we're talking to you when on your last day at Home Depot. You start, by the time this is published, you'll be at Heineken officially. Well, clearly you're not going to be flying over to Amsterdam. So how's that going to work? And you've worked in Europe before, and you're taking the family back over there. How's it going to work? And when do you actually expect to be in situ physically? Or can you not really say at the moment?
We're staying flexible. So flexibility for all of us the last few months has been the name of the game, but I'll start working from here in Atlanta. And the borders are currently closed to non-Dutch nationals. So they may open up mid-June. If they open up, we'll scoot over, thanks to Delta Airlines still having a great direct flight to Amsterdam from Atlanta Hartsfield. And if it gets delayed, then we'll go as soon as the borders open. But luckily, with these video platforms and the technology, it's pretty manageable. It's not perfect, but it's pretty manageable. And lots of folks are still working from home. So it's sort of a democratized process other than the time zones.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a bit about that. How's the experience been of working in lockdown, running a communications function, running a business? And of course, Home Depot is kind of an essential service, I guess, where a lot of your stores have been open and providing really great services to everyone, because we need that. We need your goods during this time. And I guess there's also been a bit of a stimulus in DIY because people are at home and they've got time on their hands.
That is definitely a true statement. It's been interesting. I think it's Warren Buffett that said, it's only when the tide goes out that you see who's been swimming naked. And so I think in this moment, you're sort of, you're where you are in terms of your culture. And if your culture and your values are not defined, if your purpose is not clear to all of your employees, it's probably a bit more challenging. What I found going through this experience the last 3 months plus, Home Depot's culture is super, super strong. It's super well defined. We have 2 symbols that represent the culture, the values wheel and the inverted pyramid. Every employee knows what those are. We measure employees against the values 2 times a year formally. If you go to any meeting at Home Depot, you'll hear someone mention the values. So luckily we had that strong foundation. And so the values became the lens through which the company made all the decisions. And to start, we were super clear that the number 1 focus was safety of our people, safety of the community. And then second, as you mentioned, it was essential services, because when you're home, I have lots of friends who live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. If that toilet goes down for you and you're supposed to be working and schooling from home, it's a problem. We had a major leak here in our house during the shelter-in-place time, and we had to run out and get all kinds of supplies to cut open the ceiling and then dry everything out, et cetera. So we were focused on essential services, and the aperture now starts to widen a bit as the shelter-in-place lifts. But consumers, as they're sitting home, they're using their home in a different way. So in our house, we needed kind of 4 offices. I have 2 kids in school, and my husband and I were both working from here. So we needed to modify things a little bit to make it work. And people are doing projects, whether it's painting or now folks are doing gardening. They wanted to start these sort of victory gardens, these at-home gardens, so they have access to fresh fruits and vegetables based on the shelter-in-place ordinances. So we're very, very lucky to be in home improvement and be able to help communities while folks were in that DIY frame of mind.
Yeah, we've launched a new feature as well as Coffee Break launched around the home office. And this week's was someone who's got 8 kids. So they're homeschooling, at least 5 of them, but working as well. I'm really not envious of that, but it's a great story actually. So everyone's having to adapt up.
Yeah, that's incredible. In fact, I think I just started to feel migraine coming on. Just thinking.
Yeah, we've just got a cat here, so we're good. Tell us about that purpose thing, because that's really interesting. That purpose does get tested in tough times, doesn't it? And sometimes, we've seen some companies really step up, and actually we've seen others not, and doing disappointing things, sort of protecting senior executive wages whilst laying off workers or closing plants or stores or whatever. How have you found that at Home Depot? What have you learned from that process of your purpose really being tested and just thinking, yeah, but we've got to stick to the right thing and do the right thing? And are there any examples you can think of?
Yeah. I think part of it is what you've been doing, how you've been training up until the point you have a major disruption like this. So if your balance sheet isn't strong, if your cash position isn't strong, it's going to be more difficult. And so huge credit to the leaders who, for many, many generations of leaders at Home Depot, have made sure that we have a very strong balance sheet. So we were shored up well from a cash position. So we were able to make decisions without worrying that we were going to run out of cash and those types of things. And we started to dip our toe in the water and make decisions really with safety as number one. So doing things like extending paid time off, and in particular, extending it significantly for the at-risk populations, and extending paid dependent care. So we ended up extending significantly and making more flexible the care, such that if you couldn't find someone to come into the home, we would even pay a family member so that you could have continuous care to support you if you were going to continue to work. We've done things like pay double overtime and special bonuses to incent folks to continue to work during this time. And all of that, when I was first kind of tapping into the decisions we were making and the choices, you go, well, that's the right thing to do. And that makes a ton of sense. And that makes me feel good. When you add it all up, that was $850 million in benefits. And so thank goodness for the good balance sheet and the healthy business, because absent that, it would have been harder. But the overwhelming and the emotion, I was just on a call last night with a bunch of officers in the company, and there were tears on that call. And people are talking about our frontline associates and everything that they have been through, and how proud they are, despite the sacrifice, to be able to support the community and our first responders. We've donated millions and millions and millions of dollars of N95s and sanitizer and cleaning, anything that was in our supply chain. We're working with hospitals and police departments, et cetera. And it does remind you that you're part of something much, much bigger than you are. I've been following the Prime Minister in New Zealand and her leadership through this time. And
She's terrific, isn't she? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just thankful for her and all we can learn from her. One of the things semantically she's been talking about is that we are a team. Her country, we are a team, and what we do as individuals will impact the others, and we have to think about that ecosystem, that organism, that team, and our role in it. And I've felt very clearly part of this Home Depot team through this whole experience, and it's something it'll stay with me, stay with all of us, I think, forever.
Yeah, I mean, if you look around the world, the leaders who've really stepped up are mostly female leaders, aren't they? It's actually, we need more female leaders, Stacey.
There you go. I agree.
It's all through great communication as well, isn't it? Their leadership is being demonstrated through great communication. The other thing is, I guess it's, if there can be positives out of this, people like retail workers and garbage truck drivers and health workers and everybody who's been keeping us safe and keeping us going, there's a new respect for them. And I really hope that extends beyond the crisis, because, at least we're getting our priorities more in perspective in that respect.
Very true. So very true.
So let's finish with talking about the new role at Heineken. What are your priorities? What's on your to-do list? Everyone's still drinking. They certainly are in this household. They're just doing it in a slightly different way. So we're not in bars. We're getting lots of takeouts. We're going and picking up at bars, but not sticking around. So what's on your to-do list, and how do you think this whole crisis will have changed the drinks industry?
Absolutely. It's so reassuring to be able to have your favorite beverage at the end of the day and
it certainly is, yeah.
Feel a little bit back to normal, or slightly.
It's more than reassuring. It's kind of essential, isn't it?
I agree. So, in terms of priorities, I can't wait to get to know everybody. We have many new members of this management team coming together. And when you have a new management team, normally you get together and you spend lots of time together and you're breaking bread. And what's going to be fascinating is that we're going to come together through this medium in digital technology. So trying to be really intentional and thoughtful about how that can be as meaningful, and that humanity is embedded in the center and it doesn't feel transactional. I've been watching other colleagues do really interesting things, like not just having virtual cocktails, but someone will order, Uber Eats, and everyone on the meeting will get their delivery, and then, have your beverage of choice, and then you're engaging together. Or I love one that I heard yesterday about virtual office hours for high potentials, where management team members are keeping an hour I think this was every week, and they have high potentials coming on in 15-minute increments just to do a touch base on how things are, because you can't run into people at the water cooler. You can't walk around and see everyone in the elevator bay. So I'm thinking a lot about that, because I think having a good onboarding and getting up to speed and learning quickly is essential with any new role that you take, and it's just going to look different this time. But I think different good. I think Heineken's now in 140 countries. So there's always an inevitability that we will be communicating this way. And if we can make it a competitive advantage, we can't always get on a plane every time. That would be very, I think, very helpful, supportive of the business.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, coffee break's over, I'm afraid. So it's time for beer. So we wish you well, Stacey, and we look forward to plotting your progress over in Europe. And thanks for joining us on Coffee Break.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Take care.